Hello and welcome to Nepal Tech. So today I have brought a new video regarding the Docker containerization. So today we'll be containerizing an application which consists of PHP, MySQL and Apache, and we'll be Dockerizing it using Docker Compose. So talking about the application, we'll be requiring three components. So one is the business logic. For that we'll be downloading the PHP, and for the web server we'll be requiring Apache, and for the database we'll be requiring MySQL. So it is an application which is based on PHP, Apache and MySQL. So basically this is the thing. So in Docker Hub we'll be provided with some Docker images. So we'll be downloading this PHP image, Apache image and MySQL image itself from the Docker Hub, and we'll be doing some customization according to our application for it to run. And basically this is the thing. And so for Docker image registry you can go to hub.docker.com. So there will be lots of images already available. So from that we can select the images as per our application need. So basically that's the thing. And talking about my directory structure, here you can see this will be the structure of my directory. So I'll be having a root folder with the name php apache mysql, and there will be having apache as a directory, and inside apache we'll be having the Apache configuration default file, and we'll also be having the Docker file. So inside the Docker file, we'll be selecting the Apache specific image, and we'll be writing the commands that are writing the instruction that are required by our application. And talking about another directory, we have PHP as a directory, and inside PHP we'll be having a Docker file where we'll be specifying the instruction that is required for the PHP. And talking about public underscore html, so this is the code, this will be where our code will be residing. And so as for now I'll be writing only a single index.php file, and inside index.php file we'll be writing the code that will be uh, checking the connection between the database and our application code. So this is basically the thing. And I forgot to mention here, I'll also be placing docker compose file here .yml. So this will basically be my docker compose YAML file, and based on this instruction the containerization of our application will be done, and we'll be creating all this directory from the scratch. So please follow along the guidelines. And here the things that we'll be doing today will be, the first will be docker file. We'll be writing the sets of instruction to tell the docker engine related to our images. So there will be the sets of instruction which includes the packages, binaries and dependencies that are required by our container. And talking about Docker image, a Docker image is a file which is used to execute a code into a Docker container. Docker images acts as a sets of instructions. So Docker images are the sets of instruction, and Docker images are created itself out of Docker file. And here we can see Docker container. So after the Docker image is created, we can convert the image into container. So in order to create a container, we'll always be requiring a Docker image. And so basically this is the thing. And inside the Docker container, we can see the description here. Our Docker container image is a lightweight, standalone and executable package of software that includes everything needed to run an application. So everything that is required by the application will be um, containerized inside the Docker container itself. So basically it will be a package itself in itself. So it will include the code, runtime, system tools, system libraries and setting into it. And we'll also be requiring Docker volume. So in order to persist our data, we'll be requiring Docker volume. So these concepts are included for the purpose of persisting the data. And volumes are preferred mechanism for persisting data generated by or used by the Docker container. So sometimes the container will itself generate a data and we need to store that, or sometimes the stored data needs to be accessed by the container, so we'll be requiring volume in that cases. So whenever the site is live and in its production, this will be necessary steps for us to define a Docker volume to it and check it using the volume. So for the volume we have two types. So one will be the bind mount, and another will be our volume itself. So we'll be talking about it while creating the Docker Compose file. And we'll also be requiring the Docker network. So network allows us to attach a container to a network. So in order to run a container, we'll be requiring a network. And since we'll be running the multiple container scenario, so here we can see we'll be running the multi-container applications or scenario, we'll be requiring network in order to communicate between the containers. And talking about Docker Compose, so Docker Compose is a tool that was developed to help define and share multi-container applications. So since we'll be running multiple containers and we need to integrate them with itself as well. So we'll be using Docker Compose. So it makes us easier to monitor and create Docker containers with a container environment. So this will be basically the thing. So today I'll be doing the Docker Compose implementation in my local machine, and for the local machine I'll be using VS Code as my editor itself, and I'll be using Docker desktop here, and I'll again take this code to the production environment. So I'll be using a Linux server, and we'll also be checking the same code there as well. So without a further ado, let's start the lab session. So I'm here in my VS Code itself. So let me go to my file directory, and here is a folder with my YT tutorial. So I'll be creating a file here. So let me create a directory here. So mkdir. So will be, so this will be my directory. Let me go inside my directory. Okay, so let me do code dot. So this will open the VS Code here. So let me remove the older one here, and let me save this, and let me open in on the larger screen. So so before I had closed that, so let me do one thing. I'll be opening that once again. So let me go back here and let me do ELS. So there is a Docker Compose MD file here. So let me do code dot here as well, and let me copy the compose.md file here, and I'll paste it here on with the commands.txt, or I'll do readme.md itself, and let me paste it here. So we'll be following along with this. So this is my directory structure. So I'll be creating the directory according to this. So you can skip this readme.md. This is a separate file that I added here. So first we'll be requiring three directories. One will be for Apache, one will be for PHP, and another for public HTML. So for this, let me create three folders: Apache. Next one will be my PHP, and okay, I don't want this. Yes. So inside Apache, I want the folder to be in the root. So next one is PHP, and again I want the folder in to be in the root. So that will be my public underscore HTML. So inside Apache, I want one file with demo.apache.conf. Okay, and I'll also be requiring Docker file here. And inside PHP, I'll be requiring a Docker file. And inside public.html, there will be a file with our name index.php. So looks like I have created it according to the requirement. So let's go to the readme.md and let's check our folder structure. So we have Apache, and inside Apache we have demo apache.conf, and we also have the Docker file, and inside PHP we have a Docker file, and inside public HTML we have the index dot as well. So the next thing that I'll be requiring is I'll also be requiring a file with the name docker compose.yml. So basically this is the thing. This will be the total application structure or the directory structure that we'll be working on. And before that, what I'll be doing is I'll be writing the Docker files for PHP and Apache. So before that, let me write my code here on the index.php. So the code I have already attached here. So let me remove all this here. So let me save all this, and let me once again close all this, and let me go to readme.md, and inside here I can see there is an index.php file. So I'll be copying this file, and I'll be pasting inside the index.php, and I'll be telling about the file what's being shown here. So this is the HTML tag that represents the heading one. So we'll be uh, displaying hello cloudreach, and we'll also be showing attempting MySQL connection from PHP. So if the connection is successful, it will be showing us connected to MySQL successful. So this will basically be the thing, and for this we'll be requiring the host. So as I specified, for the database connectivity I am going to use MySQL as a database. So for the host I'll be providing MySQL as my host, and talking about user, the user will be root, and talking about the password for the root user, it will be root password, and this is a connection string here. So it will do a MySQLi connection. So we'll also be requiring MySQLi connection, MySQLi package on our PHP container. So we'll also be adding this on our Docker file for adding MySQL container. So if the connection fails, it will be displaying this error message, else it will echo the connection to MySQL database successful. So this is the simple index.php file, and let's go to the demo of apache.conf. And for this, I'll again go back to my readme, and here is a simple configuration file for my Apache 2 web server. So let me paste it here, and here you can see I have provided the document root, which is at bare www.html, and the virtual host or the port that it will be listening on will be port 80. So this is basically the thing. I don't want to go deep down inside this, so let me save this as well, and let's go and build the Docker file for both Apache and PHP. So before PHP, let's go to Apache, and we'll be writing the Apache. So before Apache, let's go to PHP, and we'll be writing the code for PHP here. So for this, so let's define our base image. So here you can see, if you have the Docker extension installed, it will be showing such type of auto text completion. So from, and my base image will be PHP, and it will be of version 7.2.7, and it will be of FPM, and I'll also be using the Alpine as my base image of version 3.7. So this will be the base image, and I'll be running two commands here: apk update, and we'll also be running, okay, apk upgrade. So this both will be the commands that will be running here, and let's go here and we'll see what we'll also be requiring. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be requiring the we'll be requiring the MySQL package. So we'll be referring to Docker PHP x10 ext will do the thing, and we'll install MySQL. So this will be our Docker file for PHP. This is just the thing that we need to write here for PHP. So the extra package that we'll be requiring, or the extra extension that we require, is MySQL, so which I have downloaded here, since our index.php requires MySQL. So this is basically why I'm adding this here. And let's go back to, so I have already saved this configuration file. Let me close this as well. Let me close this, and let's go back to our Apache, and I'll be writing the Docker file for Apache as well. So let's describe the base image for Apache. So talking about Apache, its base image will be httpd. So 2.4.33, I'll be using Alpine as base image, and again we'll be running the same apt apk update and apk upgrade upgrade. So this will be the command, and I'll also be doing what I'll also be doing is I'll be copying this demo.apache.conf inside my configuration file stored in my Apache container. So demo.apache.conf. So I'll be copying this file inside my containers user bin, okay, user local, and it will be my Apache 2 and conf, and inside conf I'll be adding this with the name demo.apache.conf itself. So this will be one of the copy command, and another is I'll be running echo, and what I'll be echoing is include. So this needs to be included, so include my user local apache 2 conf and demo.apache.conf. Okay, so inside my user local apache 2 conf httpd.conf. So this basically will do the thing. So let me save it, and it's showing the error here. So let me see what might be the error here. So I have not given this here, so this will extend the lines as a same command. So let me save this. So basically we have done all the thing that is required. So let's see till now what we have done. So let me close this once again and let's see. So we have three containers. So that will be Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So inside the PHP directory, so inside the Apache directory, we can see we added a configuration file that's listening on port 80 on my document root var www.html, and there is a Docker file for Apache itself. So it consists of image httpd. So httpd refers to Apache 2. Uh, so we'll be going with this image, and this will be the version, and alpine will be the my base image. And talking about run command, so it will be executing these sets of command inside my container. So it will be updating the container, and it will be upgrading the containers as well, and we'll be copying the demo.apache.conf, the default configuration file that we wrote here, and we'll be copying this to this location, and we'll be including this location here. So this is basically the thing. And talking about PHP, we added a Docker file, and we specified a base image. We specified the commands. So this will be executing inside the container. So it will be updating and upgrading the container, and we'll be downloading the extension that is MySQLi for for establishing the connection between PHP and my SQL server. So let me go back here, and as we have already completed the all the other files, so let's go to the Docker Compose file, and let's start writing the Docker Compose file. So the first command will be version. So we'll be using Docker Compose of version 3.2, and we need to describe the services. So the services will be my PHP. So PHP will require a image. So for this image, I'll be asking it to refer to the Docker file that's located inside the PHP, and the build will be this, and we need to provide it with networks. So for the networks, we'll be giving it a name, or we'll be providing it with a network named backend, and we also require it to persist the data. So this will be my volume. So volumes also needs to be volumes. Okay, so let me go back here, and the volume will be mine. So since this is Apache, so our code needs to be exposed to this Apache container. So that will be my public HTML. So since my P is capital here, so I need to provide it accordingly. So my public HTML will be mapped to my var www and HTML. So this is the method in which we are using the bind mount. So this folder here, public HTML, will be exposed in this directory inside the container. So let's go here and let's build another service for the web server. So this will be my Apache, and the image that is required for building the Apache will be located inside my Apache folder. And let me go here, and this Apache will depend on, so this will depend on PHP container, and it will also depend on MySQL container. And let's go here and let's define a network to it as well. So network will be my network. Networks needs to be provided. So my networks will be front end. Since Apache is web server and need to connect with both the front end and back end network, so we are providing it with the both network, and we also provide back end. So I'll be showing you how the network is working. So please, so this will be my back end, and I need to expose port to Apache as well. So since it is a web server, it needs to be accessed from the web. So I'll be providing it with 82 and 80. So 82 will be my host machine port, and 80 will be my container port. So I need to provide it inside a quotation. So let me go back here, and I also need to provide it with volume. So since we have Apache 2 configuration files here with us, so we need to pass it to, so this will be my, okay, so this will be my public underscore HTML, and this will be located inside my var www and HTML. So this is the service Apache. Now we'll be creating a service for MySQL, and MySQL will be, so we have not written Docker file for MySQL container, so we do not need a separate Docker file for it. So I'll be referring direct to its image. So its image will be of MySQL of version 5.6.40, and we'll be passing it with network. networks, and networks will be my backend. Okay, so my environment, so I need to pass my environment. Okay, rnment. So the environment file will be my MySQL root password. So this will be my password. So we can provide any type of password here. So I'll be providing it with root password. And after using the network, we need to define these networks here as well. So my networks will be front end and back end. So this is the thing. And let me go back here. And so back end. So we do not need this hyphen here. So I'll be removing this, and I need to bring those here. And for network, I need to provide this, I guess. So this might make it work. So looks like our compose file is also ready. So for this, as I mentioned earlier, I will be using Docker desktop. So this is my, okay, looks like I docker Docker desktop. So this is my Docker desktop. Okay, look here you can see this is my Docker desktop, and I have installed Docker on my local machine as well. So I'll be accessing the Docker here. So here you can see my Docker version is, so this is my Docker version. So here you can see I have a client and server installed to it with a version of 20.10.14. So let me check my Docker Compose version as well. So here we can see the Docker Compose version if of 1.29.2. So for downloading the Docker and Docker Compose, you can refer it to Google. So there are multiple steps that we need to follow. So it's not basically that hard. So since I had already installed on my server, so I'll not be installing the Docker and Docker Compose on my local machine. So let's go back here, and here we can see there are no containers that are currently running on my system. And talking about images, there are 2 or 3 images that are currently residing. So none of these refers to my image that I'm currently using on my Docker Compose. And I have 2 Docker volumes here. So let me remove this. So let me not remove this. I'll not be working around here on this case. So I'll be creating from the scratch from here itself. So let's do one thing. Let me do Docker Compose. So before this, let's see if there are any images. So here we can see the same images that we have seen here. So here you can see there are 3 images: Laravel doc image, my Laravel image, and Python. So here also you can see the images: Laravel doc image, my Laravel image, and Python. So this basically refers to this. And let me do Docker ps. So there you can see there is no any container running. So this will list my running container, and if I want to see all the containers inside, so I can use this -a flag. So this also shows that there are no any running or stopped container on our system currently. So let me clear this, and so at first we can build, and we'll need to run. So let's first build the compose file. So this will be referring to this compose file here, Docker compose file here, and based on the instruction that we have set, according to that it will be working on itself. And let's see how it's gonna work. Okay, so it shows me that Docker compose build MySQL uses an image skipping, building PHP building finished, run echo include user local. So looks like my this command got error. So let me check what might be the possible issue, and we'll be running it once again. So let me go to my Docker file, and let's see here. Basically echo, does this, is this the case? So let me go back here, and let me open my terminal back once again. Okay, what I'm doing is, let me go to my terminal, and I have a previous terminal here. So let me build it once again. So let's see if this time it might work. Build. Okay, looks like the Docker scan, and so the build is successful. So let's say Docker image is here, and here we can see there is a PHP MySQL Apache image, PHP image. So this is the thing. And talking about the MySQL image, it will be created when we will be running the container. So let me Docker compose up. So this will be running the container. Till now it have built the images. So let's see Docker ps. So here we can see there are no container right now. So let me clear this and Docker compose up hyphen d. So this will run all the containers. So here you can see we have specified two networks here inside the network. So the two networks were front end and back end. So before creating the containers, it had already created the network. So after creating a network, it will be installing the container and will be placing the network access accordingly. So this might take certain time. So let's wait, or I'll be pausing the video and I'll be continuing the video after successfully downloading. Let me decrease the font size so that it's gonna be clear to us to see here. So yes, looks like it's almost done. So it's creating a container for MySQL, PHP, and Apache. So Apache is taking certain time. So we can see we have successfully created three container. So the first one is PHP, MySQL, Apache, MySQL. Another one is this and this. So let's see Docker PS, and we'll be seeing the container here. So let me zoom it once again. And so zooming. Okay, so these are my containers. As I specified on my Docker Compose file, I have three services. So the first services is PHP, which is referring to this. The second one is Apache, which is referring to this. And we have MySQL image. So this is referred here. And here you can see I have specified the Apache with port 82 and 80. So the host machine, my local machine is listening on port 82, and my container is listening on the same port 80. So this is basically the thing. And since we have persisted the volume here, I'll be changing some content in my public HTML file, and we'll be checking that as well. So let me go back here, and we can see this is the folder structure. And since we have a successful container, so we can check it here as well. So in images, we can see this three are the current images that we created, and these three are on use. And talking about container, you can see here this is a Docker Compose. So it has created itself as a package, and inside this we can see there are three containers, and the container for Apache is listening on port 82. So we have published the port 82. And talking about Apache, PHP, and MySQL, they are also running itself. So let's go to the browser and let's access them. So for this I'll be using Microsoft Azure. So okay, let me go here and let me go to my private window, and here you can see localhost colon 8000. So this will give my sorry, the port is 82. Silly. So here we can see this is the code that we were listing inside the folder there. Also what we can do is we can check it with mm, let me go to public HTML and let me go to index. Let me okay, so we have commented this out. So let me remove this comment here, and let me also remove this comment here. So let me save this and let's check once again. So here it says that access denied for user this street using password. Yes, online access denied for user using password. Okay, let me check what might be the missing. So this shows that the PHP code block here is running successfully, and let's check why it's not being able to make a connection with MySQL. And let me go here and let me check the logs for my PHP. Okay, logs for my PHP underscore Apache underscore. Okay, so here is my name itself. So Docker logs logs, and which will be my container. That will be my Apache container. So I'll be checking the logs of the Apache container here. And here you can see the Apache container is running fine. Let me go to my PHP container, docker logs. So this will be my PHP container logs, and npm apache to resume normal operations. Looks like I retyped the okay, so let me copy this. Yeah, yes, so this is my PHP container, docker logs, and let me paste it here. So here we can see FEM is ready, it's handling the connection as well. So let me check my MySQL. So at first let me clear this. Let me see my container. Let me copy my MySQL container ID and let me paste it here. Let me check the docker logs of it. So here we can see MySQL port version, insecure configuration for PID location in. Is there a issue? So warning. So this is just a warning. We can edit it ignore. So let's go back here and let's try to refresh this. Still it's showing this. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me go to my Docker PS. Let's see the container. So the containers are running. So let me go to my MySQL container and Docker exec hyphen id. My MySQL container ID is this, and I'll be using SSL inside this. So let me do ls. So this is my MySQL container. So let me go inside here and let me do one thing here. MySQL. So it says it's access denied for user root at the rate localhost. So we need to be specifying the username as well. So I'll be user root and it's asking the password. So for this I need to provide the password root dash p. And talking about the password, this password is placed here. So this is the password that MySQL will be requiring for the root user login, and this is the same password that I have placed here. So let me enter the password once and let's see if the password is being updated or not. So here we can see the MySQL login is successful. So looks like my container is also working fine, and MySQL connection can also be established using the same command. So let me do docker compose up once again and let's see. So it shows that they are already up to date. So let's go to my browser and let's check if it's possible to. So this will be my local host on port 82. So yes, here we can see the connection is successful, and let's add a piece of code here as well and let's see if the connection, how it's gonna work. So for this I need to specify it on my, so where is my page, index page. So I'll be writing another block of code here once again, and this will be my php info here. So I'm changing this on my local system. So let's see if if the reflection is taking place on my container or not. So here we can see the PHP version and the default settings are also been shown. So this is the way using which we can run the containers on our local machine, and we can access it using the Docker desktop. And here we can see we have containers. So inside container we have 3 containers, so we can see their status as well. So from this we can inspect, we can check the status. So the CPU usage, the memory usage, the disk read write per second, and the network connection. So this everything will be shown here. So this is how we monitor the containers as well. And here also we can see the database connection as well. So the database connection is also successful, and we can inspect it. So MySQL root password is my this, and my path will be this, where our MySQL binary files will be located. And so yes, and I have mount this to my. So talking about stats, we can see the CPU usage, memory usage, and everything here. So this is basically the thing that we do on our Windows machine using the Docker desktop. Now we'll be using Linux server for the same thing that we have done here. So for this, what I'll be doing is I'll be uh, so in my extension you can see Docker here. So if you are using the local Docker desktop, so the status can be shown here. So inside the containers, we can see there is a PHP MySQL Apache. So this is the Docker Compose file that we used, and we have been running the Apache container, the PHP container, and my SQL container itself. And talking about image, so this is the image that Apache is using. This is the image my PHP is using, and MySQL refers to the image that my MySQL database server is using. And so basically, this is the thing. And talking about network, as I would like to mention here, so we created two network. So the first network was backend and the second was frontend. So inside my Docker Compose, if we remember, there were two networks that I defined here. So frontend and backend. And my MySQL image is staying on the network backend, and Apache is listening on both network frontend and backend. And my PHP is also listening on the network backend. So this is how the interconnection between the both takes place. And if I could show you more status here, so this will be limited to this. And talking about volume, so this is the previous volume, I guess. Okay, so the volume has no specific details here, so that could be seen. So this is basically the thing. So let's go here, and if we see volume here, 13 minutes ago and 9 minutes ago, so we have persisted the volume for, I guess, two of those. So one is for my PHP and for Apache. And as per now, we have not persisted the volume regarding the MySQL, since we are using the simple application. So this will be the case. And if we need to persist the volume for MySQL, we can define it using this same command, and the source where our MySQL files will be residing, and the destination where our MySQL files will be residing inside the container. So this is basically the thing. The network related things will not be shown here. So let me close it here, and let me go to my git bash here, and we'll be running it using the git bash. So before this, what I'll be doing is, okay, so before this I'll be doing is, let me go to my git bash. So git bash was successful here. So okay, so I'm here at my git bash. So let me do SSH login to my server. So for SSH logging into my server, this will be the requirement, and I'll be placing my password here. So okay, so let me clear the screen. So I have successfully entered inside my password. So let me check if I have Docker installed or not. So Docker version. So yes, the Docker client and server is installed. So let me check for the Docker Compose as well. So here we can see the Docker Compose is also installed. So let me clear. So what I'll be doing is I'll be copying the file from FileZilla to my server. So let me open the FileZilla and let me enter my host. So my host is 159.138.93.148, and my username will be root, and my password is, so I'll be doing connection with the port 22 from the port 22. So let me click OK. And so yes, we are inside the server. So I'll be copying the file from this. I have a file with YT tutorials, and inside this there is a PHP MySQL Apache. So I'll be copying this from here to my root directory. We can basically use the GitHub for this as well. So since I have not added my code to my GitHub repo, so I'll not be using GitHub as for now. So let's see if it's on my server. So here we can see PHP MySQL Apache here. So let me go to my PHP cd PHP MySQL Apache. So let me do ls. So all the files and folder are here. So to see the folder directory, we can see here. So inside PHP Apache MySQL, there is a Apache directory. Inside Apache, there is demo apache.conf and Docker file. And in the root directory, there is a docker compose.yml file as well. And inside the PHP, there is a Docker file. And inside the public HTML, there is also index.php file. So this is the thing that we are trying to achieve. So it's on the server. So let me do some changes here. So let me go to my Docker Compose, and to show you with the changes, let's do one thing here. I'll be adding the port 81 here so that we won't be confused regarding the local and my server environment. So let me do Docker Compose up dash d. Basically up will be building my image as well, and it will make it into the container as well. So let's wait for some time, and this will work perfectly fine since it's working on our local machine. So the local is accessible from here. So inside the server, I'll also be showing you with the changes onto it. So let's go back here and let's wait till it gets done. So let me pause the video till then. And okay, so the container has been created. So there we can see there are three containers currently running on my server. So this is been created by Docker Compose. So the first is PHP container, another one is for my MySQL container, and the next one is Apache 2 container. So let me clear the screen here and we'll see the Docker's containers here. So here we can see there are, so please ignore these two containers. This was the previous container that we were running. So here we can see 27 seconds ago, 26 seconds ago. So these are the containers that we have spinned up using the Docker Compose file. So let me clear the screen here, and what we'll be doing is we'll be going to the browser and we'll be accessing it from our port 81. Since I had changed the port from 82 to 81, so we'll be accessing from port 81. So looks like there is some issue. So this shows file not found. So let's see here what might be the issue. So docker ips. So the status shows it's running and inside my port 81. Yes. Okay, okay. Docker log logs, my Apache logs will be. So basically if our container is not working as expected, so the first thing we do is we check the logs, and here we can see client this primary script unknown, HTTP foreground, Apache to clear. So the okay, so let's check here. So let me do ls here. So here we can see there are two public HTML files. So looks like I mistyped somewhere around. So let's go here and let me see inside the public public HTML. So inside this there is nothing. So looks like this got created on itself. So let me check the Docker Compose once again. So let me go here and so okay, Docker Compose. Okay, so I'm inside the public HTML folder. So I'm Docker compose.yml. So here we can see public HTML. So volume. So this might be the case since we are referring to the folder structure with capital P. So this basically might the thing. So let me clear this once again and let me do ls here. So let me remove this public HTML. We don't need this public. So since we need the Docker Compose needs to refer to this directory, but it's referring to this. So since we have written there, so it's creating it by itself, and since there is no anything inside this, so the file cannot be found status had been shown in the web browser. So let me remove this. So rmdir public underscore public underscore html. So let me do ls. So here we can see everything is okay. So let me do docker compose down first and we'll be running the running it again. So docker compose up hyphen d. So let's see if this might work as per our requirements. So let me hit enter. So here we can see the attempting to establish a connection so successful. Again the error status that it was showing on my local is showing here. So what might be the case? Let's see there. And let me go to my and let me check the. So let me do docker ps. Let me go inside my let me go inside my MySQL container. So for that I'll be going inside this. So docker exec -it my container id, and I'll be going through ss cell. So MySQL -u root enter. So it's using the password for root. So let me provide the password -u root -p, and my password is the password. Okay, so my password is root password. sorry dash u root dash p rootpassword will be giving the entry to my server. Okay, let me. Okay, so let me clear this. I got out of my container. Still, it won't be working. Okay, so successfully it's working now. So looks like the server is working perfectly fine. So this is from the localhost. So the status is shown here. So which is running from the localhost. So this is my host machine in which I am running the containerized application using the Docker desktop, and it is inside my Linux machine. I'm using Ubuntu, and here we can see this connection between the database and the PHP is successful, and we can see the PHP code being rendered here. So basically, this is the thing. So today I like to end my session here regarding the Docker Compose using for the PHP, MySQL, and Apache web server. So you can try it with your own application here. So you can place your PHP based application here, and you need to provide the connection as I established here. So after establishing the successful connection, this will be working perfectly fine as specified by us. So and I'd like to show you one thing. So let me go here and let me change some content inside my server. So I'll be going here and let me do ls here to check if the content is being changed or not. So this is the directory where I'll be changing the file content here, index.php. So let me do nano to it, and what I'll be changing is, okay, so the php info, and I'll be writing adding h1, so hulk captain america and Spider-Man, Thor, Iron Man, and so on. So let me close this H1 and let's check if the volume is getting persisted or not. So let's go at the last, since we have added it on the last of our after our PHP info. So looks like it's still not showing here. So let me go back here and let me place it on the first. Okay, and I'll be pasting it on my. So this is just for the test. I hope you are not getting bored. Okay, so let me go back here and let me refresh this. Okay, so this is showing here. So we have successfully persisted the data. So previously what I was doing was I was changing this on my server, and I am checking on my local host URL. So this won't be reflected here. So basically this is the thing, and let me change it on my local as well. So we'll be having a confirmation here regarding the status of it as well. So let me write here h1. This is from local machine. So h1, let me close the tag here, let me save this, let me go and let me run. So this is from the local machine. So this is the thing that we were requiring. So this is from the local machine, and this is from the server. It can be EC2 instance, it can be Azure virtual machine, it can be GCP instances. So basically it can be anything. So we can set up our application using the Docker Compose for PHP, MySQL, and Apache based configuration is too easy. So in the next video, I'll be showing you regarding the Django based website setup. And in the next video, I'll also be showing by using the two frameworks, that is Django on the Django for the backend, and I'll also be using React for the front end. So we'll be checking that video on the later series. So for today, this much. So if you have any query regarding the implementation, you can do comment here. I'll be available on the comment section. Also, you can mail me on my Gmail, so that will be on my YouTube description link. So thank you for today. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. So yes.